Ever wonder why someone who seems to have it all might still feel an inexplicable emptiness inside? It's a question that has troubled many and yet remains unanswered for most. You see, depression, the hidden enemy we're about to unmask, is a complex beast. It's a shapeshifter, a master of disguise, and it's often far more subtle than we expect. Depression isn't always visible tears or a gloomy demeanor. It's not always about someone lying in bed all day unable to face the world. No, depression can be a silent intruder, creeping into the lives of even the happiest among us, the ones who seemingly have everything. It can be a smile that doesn't quite reach the eyes, a laugh that sounds just a bit forced, or a sudden loss of interest in a once-beloved hobby. So, why are we talking about this? Well, it's simple. We believe that knowledge is power. The more we understand about the less obvious signs of depression, the better equipped we are to recognize it, in ourselves and in those around us. It's our mission to shed light on this often misunderstood and overlooked condition, to help those suffering in silence understand they're not alone, and to encourage those who see the signs in others to reach out a helping hand. Depression is like a shadow, always lurking, always waiting. It can be a heavy burden, a weight that drags you down, and it's not always easy to recognize. But that's where we come in. We're here to delve into the depths, to explore the less obvious signs of depression, to unmask this hidden enemy. It's not an easy journey we're embarking on, but it's a necessary one. Because depression is not a sign of weakness, it's a sign of being human. It's part of the human condition, a battle that millions are fighting every single day, and it's a battle that can be won. But first we need to recognize the enemy. Depression often wears a mask, and it's time we learned how to recognize it. Did you know that depression can manifest in ways that are not always emotionally apparent? It's a startling fact, but one that's crucial to understanding this complex condition. One of the first hidden signs of depression is physical discomfort, such as unexplained aches and pains. You see, depression isn't just a mental health issue, it's also a physical one. When we're depressed, our bodies react in kind. You might feel a constant headache that just won't go away, or perhaps a nagging backache that you can't attribute to any physical activity. These signs are easy to overlook or misattribute to other causes, but they are often the body's way of signaling that something's not right. Depression can cause physical symptoms that don't seem related to mental health at all. But it's important to remember that our minds and bodies are interconnected. They communicate with each other in ways we don't fully understand yet. The body often knows what the mind tries to ignore. Scene script: have you ever considered that the happiest person in the room might be fighting the hardest battle inside? Let's dive deeper into our discussion on the hidden signs of depression. The second sign we're focusing on may seem counterintuitive. It's excessive cheerfulness or making efforts to appear overly happy. Surprised? Let's unpack this. Often when people are grappling with depression, they may adopt a happy mask. They laugh a little louder, smile a little wider, and radiate positivity. This persona is a carefully constructed facade, an armor they put on every day to hide their inner turmoil from the world. You see, society often expects us to be upbeat and cheerful. So individuals dealing with depression may feel compelled to meet these expectations, fearing the stigma associated with mental health issues. They may worry that their friends, family, or co-workers will treat them differently if they show their true feelings. Also, this excessive cheerfulness can serve as a defense mechanism. By portraying themselves as happy, they are trying to convince not only others but also themselves that they are okay. They hope that by acting happy, they might eventually feel happy. However, this constant act is exhausting and can lead to a deeper sense of isolation, as they feel disconnected from their true selves and others. They feel trapped in a cycle of pretending and hiding, which only exacerbates their depression. Remember, depression is not a one-size-fits-all condition. It doesn't always manifest as sadness or aloofness. It can also hide behind the most radiant smiles and the loudest laughs. So next time you see someone who's always the life of the party, check in with them. Ask them how they're really doing. Your understanding and empathy can make a world of difference. Depression doesn't always look like sadness. It can also look like the happiest person in the room putting on a brave face and fighting an unseen battle inside. So let's be kind, compassionate, and understanding. You never know what someone is going through beneath their cheerful exterior. Ever noticed how some people are always there for others but never seem to ask for help themselves? It's a curious observation, and one that often goes unnoticed. Yet it's a crucial point to consider when we're talking about the hidden signs of depression. One of the most paradoxical yet defining characteristics of individuals struggling with depression is their propensity to neglect their own needs. They often go out of their way to help others, offering a helping hand, a listening ear, and a shoulder to cry on. Yet, when it comes to their own troubles, they retreat into silence, choosing to bear their burdens alone. This tendency isn't a sign of strength or self-sufficiency. It's a silent scream, a cry for help that's muted by the weight of depression. It's a manifestation of the internal struggle they're facing, the feeling of being trapped in their own minds, fighting a battle that nobody else can see. Why is this so? Well, there could be a multitude of reasons. Some may fear being a burden to others. Others may feel unworthy of receiving help. Still, others may believe that their struggles are insignificant, or that they should be able to handle them on their own. The sad reality is that this self-imposed isolation can exacerbate their depression, creating a vicious cycle of loneliness and despair. It's a silent scream that's often drowned out by the noise of everyday life, making it even harder for them to seek the help they need. But it's important to remember, hearing the silent scream isn't easy. It requires understanding, compassion, and patience. It requires us to look beyond the surface, to see the person behind the smile, the laughter, the seeming strength. So, the next time you encounter someone who's always there for others but seldom asks for help themselves, take a moment. Ask them how they're really doing. Offer them a listening ear, a kind word, a helping hand. You never know, your gesture could be the lifeline they've been silently hoping for. Sometimes, the people who need help the most are the ones who ask for it the least. So let's be there for them, just as they've been there for others. Would you believe that depression can make people masters of disguise? This is our fourth hidden sign. Those living with depression often develop a unique skill, a knack for concealing their true feelings from the world. It's a paradox, really. Amidst their internal turmoil, they manage to project an image of calm, of normalcy. They laugh at your jokes, participate in conversations, and carry on with their daily routines, all while fighting an invisible battle within. This is because, in many ways, society has conditioned us to suppress our struggles, to keep our pain hidden beneath the surface. It's a survival technique, a way to avoid the stigma associated with mental health issues. But this only makes the task of identifying depression even more challenging. It's like trying to solve a puzzle with invisible pieces. Yet it's a puzzle we must solve, because understanding is the first step towards helping. Depression is a master of disguise, and it's our job to uncover its tricks. So, how do we unmask this hidden enemy? We've spent the last few minutes delving into the murky depths of a disorder that often lurks in the shadows: depression. It's a cunning adversary, often cloaked in everyday emotions and behaviors, making it all the more difficult to spot. But we've learned that by paying close attention, we can start to recognize its hidden signs. Let's quickly revisit what we've discussed. We began by acknowledging the reality of depression as a hidden enemy, a specter that often goes unnoticed until it's deeply entrenched. We then explored the invisible markers, those subtle signs that often go unnoticed, like changes in sleep patterns, appetite, and energy levels. We spoke about the unseen battle, the internal struggle that those with depression face daily. It's a war waged in silence, away from prying eyes, but it leaves its mark in the form of pervasive feelings of sadness, emptiness, or hopelessness. We delved into the silent scream, the desperate cry for help that may not always be vocalized. It can manifest as a loss of interest in activities once enjoyed, difficulty in concentrating, or unexplained physical problems. And finally, we unveiled the hidden signs of depression. We spoke about how these signs, when understood and identified, can be the first step towards support, treatment, and ultimately, healing. Understanding these signs is of paramount importance. It's not just about identifying depression in ourselves, but also in those around us. It's about being there for our loved ones, offering them a lifeline when they might be too deep in the throes of depression to reach out for help themselves. In our journey to unmask depression, understanding is our most potent weapon. It equips us with the ability to recognize the signs, offer support, and guide those struggling towards the help they need. It's a journey we must embark on collectively as a society, because no one should have to face the darkness of depression alone. Remember, understanding is the first step towards healing. Together we can unmask depression and shed light on the darkness.